down shape. And that might be lying down semi-supine. Perhaps you are lying down in Shavasana, finding any support you would like. Perhaps that's a cushion or a blanket underneath your head. Maybe that's having the feet a little wider if the feet are almost standing. Taking a little bit of time to allow your body some space to settle. Perhaps beginning to notice the center of the back of your skull on the mat beneath you. And that might involve a gentle tuck of your chin towards your chest. Shoulders soft, beginning to sink towards the earth. And perhaps your hands rest on your belly, or maybe you prefer to have them out to the sides of your body. And making any adjustments here as you begin to settle into stillness. Beginning to focus on your breath. And if it feels possible this evening, breathing in and out through your nose. A sense of coming into this present moment, leaving the rest of your day behind. And as our minds wander, as they naturally do, drawing focus back to your breath. And perhaps that involves the sensations of your breath, movement of your body as you breathe in and breathe out. Perhaps it's the cooler air as you breathe in and the warmer air as your exhalation. Taking your time to notice, be present. Maybe bringing your awareness to how you are physically feeling, and that might bring your attention to some areas of tightness or tension, any niggles or ongoing injuries. Encouraging this awareness to help inform our physical practice as we work through our class tonight. But also beginning to notice areas of softness and ease. And we'll begin by taking our 3-part breath, and if it's helpful to take it in stages, you may like to pop your hands on the lower part of your ribs, the lowest part of your rib cage. Breathing in and out, directing your breath here. Using our sense of touch to guide our breath. Maybe noticing your belly rising and falling with your breath as well. And when you're ready, taking your hands to your mid rib cage, so a little higher up. Beginning to wake up the middle lobes, the middle section of your lungs. Maybe beginning to notice your rib cage moving outwards a little more. And then taking your time to gently move the hands, if this feels helpful, to the upper area of your lungs. So you may find the fingertips begin to rest on your collarbones. If it feels possible, still allowing the elbows to rest on the floor beside you. And directing your breath to the upper lobes of your lungs. Nurturing our breath, our three-part breath, Viloma breath is the Sanskrit name. Helping us to focus on the present, but also to encourage a full inhalation. And when you're ready, taking your hands either to rest on the belly again or perhaps by the sides of your body. And beginning to integrate a three-part breath. So beginning as you breathe in to feel the lower lobes, the mid lobes and the upper lobes, almost like filling a glass of water. And as you exhale, reversing that, so emptying the upper lobes, the mid lobes and then the lower lobes. And if you feel it's more helpful to have the hands and move them gently up the body as you breathe in, knowing you're really welcome to guide your breath in that way. So taking this time to expand and explore our breath, pranayama, a breathing technique. Breathing correlates, nurtures all our bodily functions. So as we begin to breathe fully, our digestive system begins to work more fully, more heart rate you may notice, perhaps it's slowed a little, softened. We know our breathing affects our endocrine system, so our hormones. So that might be the stress hormones or the hormones that dictate and regulate different body functions. Noticing how your breath feels, noticing if anything has changed from when you first came to lie down on your mat this evening. And coming back to this breath as we come through our physical practice this evening. So using it as a guide, if this breath, this slow, deep, long inhalation, exhalation changes dramatically, it might be a sign that we need to edge off a little the shape we've created with our body, or perhaps take a rest. In your own time, when you're ready, beginning to draw your right knee in for a hug. Perhaps taking the hands over your right knee, softening slowly. And maybe you begin to draw your right knee in a little closer towards your chest. And perhaps you begin to move your right foot, making some circular motions or pointing and flexing, spreading your toes, anything that feels helpful. I've been playing with the Barbie or Cindy foot. It's where you point your foot and then bring your toes back up. It's almost like you're wearing high heels. It can feel quite a nice stretch, spreading the toes as well. Beginning to allow your right foot back down towards the earth and drawing your left knee in. Taking your time to draw the left knee in towards your chest, and then perhaps you begin to draw the left knee in a little closer. Feeling into this side, noticing any tension, being gentle if you need to. And perhaps beginning to bring some movement to your left foot. And so whilst we try and work on both sides of our body, it might be that one side needs something slightly different. So it might be your left side doesn't need much of a stronger sensation with the knee towards the chest. Really beginning to tune into sensations of your body, introspection, interoception, and offer it what it needs. Beginning to find the left foot down towards the earth again. And this is where if you're using a belt or a strap or a scarf, having it handy and beginning to place it around the ball of your right foot. So finding the ball of your right foot with your prop. And if you're not using a strap, perhaps taking the hand just gently behind the thighs. Finding your happy hand grip, that might be closer towards the feet, perhaps the elbows come down towards the earth. And beginning to engage the right foot. So all that means is you're reaching away with the right heel, and if you're using a belt or strap, beginning to press away the base of the big toe. There can be quite a strong bend in your right leg and right knee if you feel the hamstrings are quite tight, calf muscles. Maybe you begin to lengthen and straighten the right leg a little more, keeping shoulders soft. And if there is quite a lot of tightness and tension, nurturing your breath and also beginning to become aware of your jaw. So sometimes as we feel tightness, the jaw can clench a little. So softening through the jaw if that feels helpful. And if you'd like a slightly stronger sensation, welcome to begin to extend through the left leg. So beginning to lengthen through the left leg, left toes, left foot active. Supta Padaganasana. It's quite a nice name. Supta meaning supine because we're lying down. Two more breaths here, taking your time, easing off if you feel you need to. And if you have extended your left leg, beginning to place the left foot back on the ground, taking the belt in the left hand and encouraging the right foot towards the left hand side. And we're still trying to keep our lower back and hips and pelvis grounded, as it were. So we're not rolling over. We're coming as far as we can. It can be quite strong sensation in the hips and down the IT band. Beginning to perhaps draw the toes towards your face a little more. It's going to increase the sensation. If that feels too strong, allowing it to soften again. Still engaging through the base of the big toe, reaching away with the right heel. On an inhalation, encouraging the right foot back towards the centre. Unravelling the belt if you're using one, drawing the right knee in for a hug, and then very slowly using the right hand to take the right knee out towards the right hand side. So a gentle opening for the inner thighs and hip flexors. Left foot still grounded, left knee still standing. Breathing in, bringing the right knee back to center, dropping the right foot, and we'll change sides. So again, if you're using your belt of strap, finding the ball of your left foot and finding your happy grip. That might be at the top towards the foot. Perhaps the prop you're using is long enough for your elbows to reach the floor. Beginning to notice probably already a difference on this side. Thinking about engaging the base of the big toe if you're using a strap. So you can use that as a guide and pushing away with the base of the big toe as you reach the heel away as well. Maybe there's a strong bend in the knee. Maybe you're beginning to lengthen through the left leg. Coming back to your breath, noticing your breath. And with the leg up, you may find the breath moves a little higher up. The belly's a bit more restricted. So you might find you're breathing a little further into the middle lobes and upper lobes of your lungs. Awareness of your jaw, softness in your shoulders. And if you feel you would like a slightly stronger sensation, perhaps you begin to reach away with your right heel. Right toes reaching up towards the sky. Two more breaths here. Beginning to bring the right foot back down towards the mat, standing knee if you did extend it. And then taking your prop in your right hand and taking the leg across the body. So the left leg's moving towards the right hand side. Feeling into how that is on this side. If this is your tighter side, maybe you soften a little. Still beginning to reach away with the heel, the left heel, and engage through the base of the big toe. And that engagement at the base of the big toe is just beginning to switch on the inner ankle, making sure everything's working. Thinking about the left hip, pelvis still grounded. Perhaps you begin to encourage the left toes a little closer towards your face, increasing the sensation of the IT band. Edging off if it feels a little tight, a little strong. And on an inhalation, slowly encouraging the left foot back to center, bending the knee, unraveling your belt and drawing the left knee in for a hug. Taking your time to take the left hand in contact with the left knee, taking the left knee out towards the side. So a gentle opening here, the inner thigh, hip area. As you breathe in, bringing your left knee to center, dropping the left leg back down towards the earth. And you may like to extend your legs and reach away. So just enjoying the length you've created in your legs. Perhaps they feel a little lighter. Full body stretch. And when you're ready, beginning to roll over to one side and find your way up to sitting. And if you do like a prop to sit on, using your prop and either coming to cross-legged or kneeling, we're going to come into a side stretch. So finding your grounding through your sitting bones, softness in the shoulders, beginning to walk the right hand out beside you, leaning over, feeling into the hip, hopefully a little softer as we stretch through the legs and the hips a little already. And then maybe you begin to reach up and over with your left hand. Trying to keep sitting bones grounded, so making sure you haven't rolled up and over. Any tightness or pain in the shoulder, hand can rest on your hip. inhalation coming back through center. Slowly walking the left hand out towards the left hand side, leaning over a little, taking a little time here to work out how this side of your body feels, and then maybe you begin to reach up and over with your right hand. On an inhalation, coming through center, and then taking clasp of the hands and reaching away. Softening through shoulders and even having a soft bend in the elbows, beginning to raise the arms as far as you feel able. And this might just be a very soft stretch, or perhaps you begin to reach for the sky with the palm of your hands, finding length through the sides of your body, back of your body. Maybe you're feeling it all over. On an exhalation, releasing the grip and reaching all the way, creating almost like a circular motion. And we'll take that one more time. And if you can change the grip, so I always say yoga works the brain. This is where it takes a little bit of brain power. So I often just slot one finger down, as it were, but trying to change the grip there, beginning to reach away and taking your time on an inhalation to rise up. Again, there could be a really strong bend in the elbows, still beginning to turn the palms towards the sky. Exhaling and reaching all the way back down. We'll take a clasp behind our back. I'm just going to change my position so you can see me. So it could be a similar clasp or perhaps an opposite wrist. Beginning to reach away. So finding a little bit of space in the tops of the shoulders. It's almost as if the shoulder blades are coming together. And you may even like to take the gaze upwards, mindful of necks always. If it feels a little too strong, keeping the gaze forwards or even tucking the chin. On an exhalation, finding a way back to an upright position, releasing the hands and taking some time to come onto all fours. If there's any tightness in wrists, knowing that you can have a little bit of support on the wrists, taking that pressure out the wrists. Fingers spread, hands spread, really thinking about that spread of the fingers. And if you know you're very flexible or hypermobile, taking that slight turn inwards. Inner elbows beginning to face each other, shoulders drawing away from ears, knees roughly under hips, feeling into your tabletop shape. And beginning to, when you're ready, take the gaze forwards, dropping your belly into cow. And beginning to curl round, spine reaching up towards the sky, gaze towards knees or perhaps even towards navel. Chin could tuck all the way in towards the chest if that feels good for you. Beginning to create the movement from the base of your spine. So that begins the movement, ripples like a wave through the spine, crown of your head, moving last. Perhaps you begin to integrate the breath, breathing in to take the gaze forwards, dropping your belly, breathing out as you take your gaze towards your knees or navel. Main thing here is making sure you are breathing. Is it possible for the movement to begin at the base of your spine, rise up towards the crown of the head? Notice if that changes anything for you. Making this your last round. And when you're ready, Beginning to take the hands, walk them forwards. Two options here, either taking half dog or puppy here, so the hips remain over the knees, or maybe you come into an extended child's shape. If you've come to puppy or half dog, welcome to take the forehead towards the floor if that feels okay for you. You may like some support, you may prefer to have the head hover a little like me. Shoulders soft, so shoulder blades drawing down the back of your body. And whether you're in extended child or half dog, finding the weight of your upper body is even over the hands. So just noticing if you're falling into the little fingers or falling into the thumbs, can you even the weight across the thumb to the little finger? On an inhalation, beginning to rise up, walking the hands back towards you, so we're almost back into our tabletop shape. And then finding our way onto our feet, we're going to rise up into Uttanasana, into forward fold. So finding our feet either together or hip distance apart. Softness in your knees. Beginning to maybe wiggle a little. Lift the toes, spreading your toes. Perhaps you take a gentle shake of your head, nodding yes, no. Sitting bones rising up towards the sky. If it feels okay for you, you might like to begin to straighten your legs. Focusing on your breath again as you breathe in, a 3-part breath, Viloma, that we began with this evening. Maybe noticing how it changes in a forward fold. So once again, the belly's restricted. So you may find you sense the movement of your breath a little higher up or perhaps towards the back of your body. And on an inhalation, slowly sliding the hands at the front of your legs, slowly, slowly, as the head's been a little lower than the heart for a while. And taking your time to find your Utkatasana, your mountain, as you come to standing. I'm going to come through a gentle sun salutation to begin with this evening. So finding the top end of your mat when you're ready. Feet can be together or hip distance apart as always, but taking a moment to find that centre of gravity. And it might be that you begin to rock forwards and backwards, even making some circles, beginning to massage the soles of your feet. You may like to lift and spread your toes, just finding here a little bit of movement to wake up your feet, but also connection to the earth. Fingertips reaching towards the earth as well, softness in the knees. And we'll take the hands out in front this evening. So as you breathe in, reaching up, perhaps your gaze follows, and as you breathe out, reaching away. So it's almost like we're trying to reach as far as we can, heart leading, folding from our hips. Softening here, finding your forward fold again. Softening through shoulders, making sure there's space for your neck. Inhaling, flat back. So perhaps that halfway lift is hands to shins, or maybe your fingertips are in contact with the mat. On an exhalation, folding forwards again, Uttanasana. Bending into the knees a little more, we're going to step our right foot back, come into Anjali Mudra, right knee coming down towards the earth. If you know you want a stronger stretch over the right side of the hip, you can tuck the toes and take the knee back a little further. Left knee directly above the left ankle here, keeping the knees safe. Breathing in, hands to hips, or perhaps you begin to rise up with the hands. Fingertips reaching towards the sky. Any tightness or shoulders that feels uncomfortable, taking the gaze forwards a little more, softening shoulders, maybe even coming into cactus arms is another option. On an exhalation, folding forwards, finding the hands in contact with the mat and stepping back into your plank. So that might be on knees, it might be on toes, making sure the hands are spread so they're offering you a really stable base, inner elbows beginning to face each other and shoulder blades drawing away from your ears. If you're on your toes, sense of a line from the crown of your head to your heels. Option here, dropping down to knees and then dropping back down to chest and chin, or perhaps you bend into the elbows, taking chaturanga. Bending the elbows, elbows skimming your rib cage as you lower yourself down, and on inhalation we're all meeting in cobra. So elbows tucking in towards the rib cage, making maybe a baby back bend to begin with. If you're coming a little higher, a little stronger, making sure the inner thighs are turned on, it can help to imagine you're gripping a block or perhaps even a balloon. On an exhalation, lowering yourself down, inhaling, downward facing dog. So taking your time to find your down dog, half dog or extended child, also welcome. And take the time here maybe to explore your down dog. So you may like to take your feet as wide as your mat, your hands as wide as your mat. You might like to pedal the feet a little. Just really begin to sense how your body feels, what movement feels helpful, which movement feels good for you. And when you're ready, dropping down to knees and stepping your right foot forward. So we're back into a lunge shape. Fingertips still grounded here. And then the left foot is going to follow. So we're standing in our Uttanasana. Welcome to stay here for a couple of breaths, or maybe you begin to bend into the knees a little more, walking the hands to the left and through center and towards the right. It's a small twist. Finding your way back into Uttanasana. Bending into your knees as much as you can, and we're going to come up with the hands in front of us again. So it's almost like we're reaching away, powering through the feet, reaching up. Maybe your gaze follows, and on exhalation, floating your hands back down to the sides of your body. We'll take that on the other side. Resetting your feet. Maybe you begin to move your feet a little, spread your toes. Sense of your crown of your head reaching up towards the sky. And this time we'll take the hands out to the side, so creating that circular motion. On an inhalation, reaching up and out. And exhaling, swallow dive. So hands reaching away, still leading with the heart. And finding your forward fold. On an inhalation, we're coming to our flat back or halfway lift, so hands can come to shins or fingertips skimming the mat. Exhaling, folding forwards. Left foot stepping back, dropping to the left knee. Taking this time here, working out if that feels okay, or maybe you want to take the left knee a little further back. On an inhalation, bringing the hands to the hips, or perhaps you're breathing in, reaching up towards the sky. Right knee over right ankle, keeping that knee nice and safe. And changing the shape. If it feels a little too strong, perhaps the gaze stays forwards. Maybe you come into cactus arms. Changing it to work for you. Exhaling, folding forwards. Inhaling, finding your plank. So either on knees or toes, making sure the hands are spread here. We really want to find a stable base through the hands. If you're on your knees, there's a line from the crown of your head to the base of the spine. Navel towards spine, just a little, protecting the lumbar spine, but beginning to strengthen the abdominals. Option to drop down to knees, chest, chin, or perhaps you prefer to come to chaturanga. Elbows skimming your rib cage, slowly lowering yourself down and finding your cobra. So, and if cobra feels a little too strong or just isn't a good back bend for you, always option to come to sphinx, elbows under shoulders. Exhaling, lowering yourself back down. Inhaling, downward facing dog. And once again, we're listening to our body. So perhaps half dog or child is a better shape for you this evening. Maybe you're still exploring downward dog, moving the feet around, the hands around, or maybe you're in stillness. On an exhalation, gently dropping down to knees. Left foot stepping forward, so we're back into our lunge. Right foot's coming to meet it or become parallel with it. And we're into our forward fold. Bending into the knees a little more, reaching out to the sides again to create that circular motion, powering through the feet, reaching up towards the sky. And on an exhalation, hands coming back down towards the sides of your body. Taking a moment here to breathe. Find the 3-part breath, our Valoma breath again. Maybe you begin to root through your feet again, finding your gravity, finding your center point. On an inhalation, taking the hands out in front, reaching up towards the sky. Exhaling, folding forwards. Straight into our Uttanasana. We're going to begin to sit back, find chair, Utkatasana. So as we sit back, sitting bones reaching behind us, thinking about the quads turning on, and perhaps you begin to reach up as well, shoulders away from ears. So imagining you have a block or a brick between the knees, so the inner grip is there. Exhaling, we're folding forwards. Option to stay here grounded, or maybe you begin to lift the right foot, right knee tucking in behind the left knee into a balance. You can take this with the right toes on the floor as well, bending into these as much as you can so the fingertips are on the floor, finding your balance here. If you'd like slightly stronger sensation, maybe you begin to take the hands towards heart center, Anjali Mudra. On an exhalation, planting the right foot down or stepping back from Uttanasana, we're coming into Warrior One. So left knee is above left ankle, right foot is out just a little towards the right hand side. And you can take the stance a little wider to allow your left hip to come back, right hip to come forwards. Breathing in, reaching up. Option to take the hands to the lower back or cactus arms. Maybe the gaze moves up towards the sky, reaching a little further back to increase your back bend. On an exhalation, returning towards the right hand side to find Warrior Two. So as you turn towards the right hand side, you may need to adjust your right foot. And that might be further back, further in, finding your stance here. Trying not to lean forwards. I have a tendency to move forwards, reaching into the future. So torso's above hips. Left knee is over left ankle. It's not falling in, it's not falling out. Gaze is over the left hand. Maybe you begin to lift your toes, engaging through the soles of your feet. Exhaling, we're coming into side angle. Left elbow coming to left thigh. Beginning to find the right hand on the right hip. Maybe this is where you stay, soften here. There's a shoulder injury in the right shoulder, allowing that hand to stay there. I give the shoulder a chance to soften and move back a little. Maybe you begin to reach up and over. So creating a line from the fingertips to the back edge of your right foot. Making sure you haven't collapsed into the left arm. Maybe you lift the left arm off the leg. Heart reaching towards the sky. Gaze can look upwards if that's okay for your neck. On an inhalation, we're coming back through our warrior two. Hands reaching away. We'll allow the arms to come down for a moment to rest. And we're beginning to turn towards the left-hand side. So we're going to hop our right foot back, also quite a shorter stance coming into pyramid. So I prefer to have hip distance apart here, so my hips can come round. You may prefer to have the heels almost aligned. So finding your shape here once again. If you have a knee injury, keeping a softness in the knees. If your knees are okay, beginning to straighten the legs, making sure the quads are turned on to protect the knees as they're now weight bearing. Hands coming to hips, elbows reaching towards each other. Lifting your heart, breathing in. And breathing out as you fold forwards. Once you're there, perhaps the hands rest on the lower back. Maybe the hands reach for the floor, rest on your left leg. Head, neck soft, maybe the gaze is a little behind you. And if the legs are straight, just making sure quads are still working hard to protect the knees. On inhalation, very slowly bending into the left knee, finding your fingertips on the floor wherever you can reach, and right foot is going to come off the mat. So a standing splits in any form, and it might be the big toe, the right big toe is on the floor, perhaps the right foot lifts a little and reaches away, maybe it reaches up for the sky. There's a softness in the left knee, gaze again behind you. Standing balance is brilliant for bone density, so strengthening the bones. Softness in shoulders, even if the foot is on the floor, helping you balance, protecting a knee injury perhaps, or just feeling a bit wobbly tonight. Still going to find that strengthening in the bones. On an exhalation, right foot coming back down, finding your Uttanasana, your forward fold. Inhaling, bending into the knees, reaching up. Exhaling, floating your arms back down. Taking a moment to reground before we work through the other side. And maybe acknowledging the side may feel different, or sensations will be different. As you begin to inhale, taking the hands out to the sides again, circular motion, reaching up, exhaling, folding forwards. Maybe beginning to really find space in the back of the legs and noticing the length. And then beginning to sit back. So we're finding our chair. Fingertips can maybe reach for the floor. Maybe you reach up away from you, making sure the knees are safe. So that's that inner quads, inner thighs turned on. Exhaling, we're folding forwards again. And this is where we're going to come into our sort of Sheaver squat balance. So bending into the knees. Welcome to stay in Uttanasana if that feels better for you. Or maybe you begin to lift the left foot off the ground, tuck the left knee into or behind the right knee. Big toe can come into contact with the floor to help balance. And then if you feel balanced, you feel stable wherever you may be, hands can come to Anjali Mudra. If, like me, you're wobbly on this leg as well, finding your fingertips grounding you, offering that stillness. Yoga is always quite humbling. Taking the ego out of the balance, out of the challenge. On an exhalation, beginning to plant your left foot down. We're coming into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. So taking your time to find your shape. Right knee over right ankle, that's just the safety aspect. Left toes pointing out towards the left-hand side. Maybe you prefer hip distance. Left hip moving forwards, right hip moving back. Breathing in, reaching up. Changing the arms if that feels better for you. Maybe you're leaning back a little further, deepening your back bend. On an exhalation, turning towards the left-hand side, we're coming into Warrior Two on the other side. Changing the stance, adjusting your feet as you need to. Reaching away, gazes over the right hand this time. And perhaps you check the arm behind you. Is it shoulder height? Softening through shoulders. And again, if there's a shoulder injury or tightness in the shoulders, arms can rest on hips. Finding a shape here that nurtures your breath, your long 3-part breath. On an exhalation, we're folding into our our side angle even. So beginning to take the right elbow towards the right thigh. Left hand's coming to hip to begin with, taking the left shoulder back. And again, this could be where you are this evening. Maybe you begin to reach up and over, finding a little bit more length through the side of the body. I know I'm collapsing here, so if you're collapsing with me, maybe taking the hand away, find the strength in the legs, beginning to lift the heart up towards the sky. On an inhalation, we're going to power back up through Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2, allowing the arms to float back down. We're going to turn towards our right foot, and this is where we shorten our stance for Uttanasana, our pyramid. So if you know you have a knee injury, you want to protect the knees a little, taking a softness in the knees, a bend in the knees. And finding again, perhaps hip distance, maybe heels are aligned, left toes are out just a little, hands on hips, elbows reaching towards each other. Maybe you begin to lift the heart and take the gaze up. Exhaling, leading with the heart as we fold forwards. If your legs are straight, making sure your quads are turned on. Tensing the thigh muscles, really switching them on to protect your knees. Hands resting wherever feels comfortable for you. So if the hands are resting on the lower back, is it possible to maybe reach for opposite elbows? Or maybe shoulders moving away from your ears, bringing the shoulder blades together. If the hands are reaching for the right leg or the floor, softening shoulders away from ears, taking the gaze towards the knees or maybe behind you. As you bend into the right knee, this is where we're going to come into our standing split. So bending into the right knee so you know you can reach the floor, and perhaps the left big toe stays grounded. That's where you are, and that's strong enough. Maybe you feel you want to work a little stronger this evening, lifting the left leg, perhaps the left heel reaching up towards the sky. Softness in the right knee. Perhaps the gaze is behind you. On an exhalation, left foot floating down and forwards, we're finding our forward fold, or Uttanasana once again. On an inhalation, bending into the knees, reaching up, reaching out towards the sides. As you reach up towards the sky, and then exhaling, floating your arms all the way back down to the sides of your body. Taking a moment here just to breathe. Noticing any sensations in your body, perhaps some tingling, perhaps feeling a little warmer. And in your own time, finding your way back down towards your mat. We're going to come into a wide-legged shape. So if you know you like a little bit of support, I like to sit on the corner of my block. Finding wide-legged shape here. And you can make this active with the toes pointing up towards the sky, or perhaps you take it more of a yin version where the feet just soften and relax. So really up to you here. The more relaxed shape can be a bit nicer or kinder on the knees. Beginning to ground through sitting bones, but still reaching towards the sky through the crown of your head. And then when you're ready, finding your hands on the floor just in front of you, walking the hands forwards a little, leading with the heart. So you'll know when you find that sensation, perhaps in the inner thighs and the hips, Where's a good place to be for you? You may like to close your eyes, soften your gaze. So very similar to our standing wide-legged shape. So when we come into the standing wide-legged shape and fold forwards, difference is we're grounded here. Grounded with our sitting bones rather than the soles of our feet. Taking 4 more breaths here, and if you feel you'd like to walk the hands forward, your hands forwards a little more, deepening into this shape. Making sure as you do, breath isn't compromised. So looking for Sthira and Sukha, steadiness and ease. It's a beautiful word, satya. In Sanskrit, in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, honesty with ourselves and with others, and often our yoga practice. Needing to find that honesty on how far we go, how deep we go. Sometimes easing off is just what our body needs. When you're ready, on an inhalation, taking your time to walk your hands back towards your hips. And perhaps you take the hands underneath the knees, gently bringing the knees in. You may like to extend your legs and give them a little bit of a wiggle. And we are going to find a way down to the floor towards relaxation. So if you know you need some extra layers, jumper or blanket or cushions, whatever you have nearby, finding any support. And as you come down to lying down, taking your time to soften here. You may like to bring your knees in for a hug, or perhaps make circular motion with the knees, massaging your lower back. Maybe you'd like to take a soft, gentle twisting motion. Feet coming as wide as your mat and knees dropping from side to side. Whatever feels helpful for you. And then eventually finding your way into stillness. And stillness could be Shavasana, lying on your back. Maybe you're lying on your side. Maybe you're semi-supine. Making sure your relaxation suits your body, suits where you are this evening. You feel supported, you feel grounded. You feel warm. Taking your time to soften in any areas that you feel could soften a little further. And perhaps that's where your breath comes in, directing your breath a little to drop into relaxation. That sense of almost letting go, allowing yourself this time. You might like to gently soften your jaw, allow your tongue to rest in the lower part of your mouth. Noticing if your hands feel heavy, fingers perhaps slightly curled. Taking your time in relaxation to rest and restore. And I've got a very short quote here. Yoga takes you into the present moment, the only place where life exists. So as your body finds stillness, your breath flows in and out, taking this time to rest, but remaining present. mind focusing and anchoring to your breath. As you rest and restore. Bringing your awareness back into the space you're in, where you are in your room. Maybe beginning to deepen your breath, perhaps sighing your breath out. And when you feel ready, beginning to take some small movements. Maybe that's drawing one knee in for a hug. Perhaps it's both at the same time. Maybe it's gently moving your head, fingers, toes. Any movement that feels soft, kind, gentle. Bringing your physical body and mind out of relaxation. And taking your time to perhaps find your way onto one side, knees bent, arms supporting your head. And when you feel ready, eventually finding a comfortable seated shape. Using any props that feel helpful to allow your length in your spine, so a grounding again through the sitting bones, reaching towards the sky with the crown of your head, softness in your shoulders. And perhaps you take this moment to notice any changes in your body. It might be that areas of tightness and tension or niggles have softened a little. Maybe other areas have arisen. Thanking yourself for practicing yoga this evening. And you might like to join your hands together, Anjali Mudra, taking your hands to heart center. Taking an inhalation here, and perhaps sighing your breath out. Noticing the space you've created for your breath. I'm going to take my hands to my forehead for kind thoughts, to my lips for kind words, and to my heart center for kind actions. Om Shanti.